Another example, if I can give you, is in a later on stint of mine when I was with Luminous, we had launched designer fans, trying to understand the end consumer life and not just make a product and then just launch and sell. We actually visited consumer homes. We spoke to both the husband and the wife.
So how do you manage your time? How do you prioritize your time, effectively? So I think that would be a great tip for us, for me, for a lot of viewers.
Yeah, and trust me when I say this, I have actually run women's support. What do you do with it? And how do you then convert it to effective marketing? Because I was then working with the brand teams to use those insights and making them come alive in the marketing strategies, there. And in 2004, it was like literally the genesis.
Welcome to Icons Behind Brands, where we uncover the untold stories of marketing. And today, I have a very special guest with me, Ms. Ruchika Gupta. Ruchika, who is the founder of RGC Consumark, brings over 25 years of marketing expertise to the table. Having worked with esteemed companies such as Luminous Power Technology as a chief marketing officer, along with Microsoft, Nokia, Nestle, Ruchika's diverse industry experience has shaped her unique perspective into marketing. So, in this episode, we delve into her journey, exploring the strategies and insights. A very warm welcome to you, Ruchika.
Thank you so much, Devleena. It's a pleasure.
Ruchika, let's talk about your journey and your background. Let's connect the dots from where you have started and and where you are right now. So we would love to know about that.
So I started off my career with FCP Ulka, with whom I had done my summers as well, and I got placed through the campus with them. And I had the kind of privilege to be a part of some very, very interesting storytelling driven accounts, which and FCP has always been known for their strategic thinking that they bring to their advertising and marketing strategy that they kind of are known for. So I got to work across Whirlpool. I was in Bombay, and then I worked across Amul with its entire portfolio, Captain Coke. So all sorts of category exposure that was there. So I was actually in charge of Indianizing, or kind of figuring out which of those techniques would work for India. So that was one of the last stints with FCB that I was doing. And it naturally got me very interested into the field of market research per se. Okay, and that's how, when an opportunity came up, I joined. It was a startup in those days. There was an agency called Blackstone Market Facts, which later got acquired by Sinovate, which later again got acquired by Ipsos. And I became the account lead for Nestle from Blackstone. Was working, for Nestle from the agency side, so that when the role to head up their insights team came up in 2003, they kind of asked me to join them and lead the initiatives there across some 25 odd Nestle brands that were there. And that was my first so-called corporate experience, because I had been working on the agency side before that. But it was phenomenally very high on learning. Because you had to interact with the global teams. Nestle had their own norms, which were much higher and stricter than anything that India norms were. So, on product testing, kind of were in and out, brand tracks, home, household tracks, consumption tracks, and things like that. It just was like phenomenal learning. I always credit Nestle with giving me a very well-rounded understanding of what insights can do. And it, because you were on the client side and you weren't conducting the research, but you were using the research. So it kind of also took me to the next step of what does, when you have an insight, what do you do with it? And how do you then convert it to effective marketing? Because I was then working with the brand teams to use those insights and making them come alive in the marketing strategies, there. And in 2004, it was like literally the genesis of the telecom, world in India, where when I joined Nokia in 2004, there were only 6 cities in the country which even had the telecom coverage. So starting from that nascent stage where almost every alternate day, I was the one who was briefing agencies on what telecom is about, or what a mobile phone or mobile phone is, and how how do we need to do it. It was very, very interesting. And India, given its population size and given the support that the government was providing on telecom, and data and everything, India became the focus market for a lot of Nokia global initiatives. So I got a lot of global exposure at that point. So I started off with consumer insights and everything, and I set it up. I set up the team. I set up all the tools. I set up all the platforms for us to. In fact, most of the telecom first ever platforms I was instrumental in setting up, including the retail audit, including brand tracks, which there was nothing before that, and it was a very different way of conducting things as well. Then I moved on to because my first love, like I said, has always been storytelling. So I moved right back into was brand activation, which meant going into ATL. So developing the campaigns and bringing again those insights to life, and how do they convert to campaigns, to 360-degree marketing, and everything. And then in my last stint at Nokia, I was the head of retail and customer marketing. Worked on recycling old phones. And we actually placed collection bins in the retail stores, and we ran digital campaigns and everything to encourage people to kind of come and recycle their old phones. Don't leave them lying around in the various drawers at home, and things like that. And we got, I think that deserves a special mention, simply because not only did we win the Global Innovation Award within Nokia globally, so it was a huge moment of pride for the Nokia India, representation there. But we actually also won the NDTV Green Award, and I had the honor of going on stage and taking the award from the president of it that time, Vimla Patil, in their Windows team. And I was initially responsible for the middle to long term strategy on thinking about what. Actually, in the middle of all this, I had my son. And I decided to actually take a little bit of a step back, and I took up a job with Millward Brown, which is a renowned research agency now called Kantar as well. So what I wanted to do was to work with businesses and brands which need that, what I call a practical marketing approach. So that's when I set up my advisory. So this is a CMO on demand kind of a service. There are a lot of organizations which don't have access to senior marketing, people for various reasons. So my offer is that I would be your CMO. I would operate like your CMO as a consultant on the outside.
So how does storytelling helps brands and businesses establish an emotional connect with its target audience, Ruchika?
If I was to reflect on my own journey and give you examples, I can tell you. So, for example, when I was in Nestle, we were actually test launching the Maggi Atta noodles. Right? And you can understand today that the place that it occupies in the market is obviously very strong and very elaborate. But at that point of time, we were still testing the concept of how would it work. We had developed the product, and we were doing it. So I remember, kind of, and this is just anecdotal. It is not even, while the research was giving us very good feedback, but that was more numbers oriented. And everything. What helped us in eventually taking that call, and I know it obviously went up to many, many senior levels and everything, was that some of the mothers started telling us how, even before trying the product, just by the thought of the fact that there is atta in Maggi, it made them feel that they were giving something healthy to their kids. Even though in their own hearts, they also felt guilty about giving something which is an instant food. Right? So the minute you had an atta in the mix there, what it was doing was that it was helping the moms justify the indulgence part, and bring it to a health level. That even though I'm indulging and I'm being a lazy mom, or I should have made something healthier or something like that, but now Maggie Atta gives me that platform. Now, this was something that we had imagined it would be, right? And we thought, yeah, this is nice. This is something that would work. But what ended up happening is, one of the days I brought back a sample to my own house and gave it to my mother. Okay, and I gave it to her for tasting. And she, without again tasting the concept itself, she said, now you can't stop me from having it. It is healthy. And that is what gave us, the insight into it. So when eventually, much later, of course, when the creative started getting developed, or the story or the positioning started getting developed, we knew that what you could actually push is indulgence, and not health only is something, that works very effectively. Yeah. Another example, if I can give you, is in a later on stint of mine when I was with Luminous, we had launched designer fans, which kind of were various designs which are never seen before, and things like that. And again, fans as a category is something that the men shop. True. Right? Women don't really go to a fan shop. Now, because we were trying to understand the end consumer life and not just make a product and then just launch and sell, we actually visited consumer homes. We spoke to both the husband and the wife. We showed them our products and we asked them. Now, what it helped us immediately understand was that the wife was like, oh, thank God, because so far I've been trying to just tell him, please get at least a brown color. Okay. Or, like, color was the only thing that she was kind of trying to put a little bit of influence on. But the minute she saw that there were these designs which could be matched, her voice became more important. Okay, yes. Right? So the husbands were also willing to actually say that, yeah, this makes sense. And let her actually, I will listen to her as long as it is within my price budget. I'm happy to kind of do this because it does look different and seem different. So taking it forward, what we were able to do was to actually launch an AR based tool. Okay. Which allowed you to actually look at the fan in your own house. Okay. In your own room, how would it look? Okay. Right. So when you are doing something which is based on design, looking at a catalog versus looking at how it will look in your own room, the impact that it created was much bigger. Wow. And again, this is nothing but, from my perspective, this is a story because I was able to understand the story of the end consumers. So how do you envision the Indian culture influencing the future of marketing strategies and campaigns? As a marketer, the minute you start thinking about your brand, your product, and you go and say, unless and until it is a truly only individual consumption item, right? A mobile phone, for example, should have ideally fallen into that. It is an individual item. Yeah. Right? However, Indian culture makes it a family ownership. So I can again give you an example. I had this beer client once, and the global team was visiting, and they were trying to figure out why beer consumption was not growing as fast as they wanted it to be. So we ran a whole Indian youth study for them. It was based on how many times was I going out. So this client asked me, but why can't he drink when he's staying with his parents? Okay. So I said, because he can't afford to come home drunk every day. He says, but why can't he come home drunk? Who will know? Is not given a key to the house. So whenever you come, somebody will get up and open the door for you. Oh, yes. Right. Do you understand where I'm coming from, right? Yeah. Now, this way of living was alien to those people.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a key culture. Everybody has their own key. And we don't have a key culture in India.
So how can a marketer balance between preserving the traditional Indian values while embracing the modern marketing techniques, and the current trends which are coming, the upcoming trends?
So what is evolved is the daily lifestyles. The everlasting values that we speak about when you talk about the Indian culture, they still haven't changed. A family still remains as important, a part of my life as it was earlier.
Right.
Respect for elders, which is like an inbuilt
Yeah.
thing in all of us. I don't think the bedrocks of Indian culture have changed. Okay. But yes, in order to stay relevant, I have to keep in mind the way I'm depicting my product, right? The touch point that I'm using to connect with my end consumer. That has to be relevant. I can't afford to today. I don't think any marketer, I mean, I could be wrong, but I can't imagine of which category marketer can today be reliant only on a TV ad.
They cannot. True. So yeah, the same thing we have discussed, just understanding of the tool is not enough for you to, take you towards your consumer. It's very important to tailor it, to craft it according to your consumer's need, according to your product and services, what category you are into. And that's how, as you mentioned, like I have picked up, the art is to filter the right tool and right technology for you.
Absolutely. Right. Which is why marketing has always been known as a mixture of art and science.
So how do you handle the challenge of limited budget, limited resource, and these constant while preparing and executing a marketing strategy for any brands and businesses?
If you are a mass market product and you are selling 100 and you expect to spend, 0.05 on marketing, that will only happen in case your brand pull is already established. So a new FMCG brand, I'm just arbitrarily giving you an example. If there was a new FMCG brand which aims to, kind of become very large, and they have done everything else that is to be done by way of distribution, by way of, whatever, they will need to create that consumer pull and not just the push.
Okay.
Right. So depending on where that brand is between that push and pull,
okay,
that will end up defining what the budget needs to be. So setting aside, say, suppose 100 for something and saying, okay, I want to be able to drive my revenue up, which is always the case, right? Revenue is eventually what everybody, kind of wants. It could be trials, it could be anything else. Unless and until you have a really very sharp understanding of who is your right audience. If you do that, so there is always going to be that spray and pray method.
Oh yeah.
एक टीवी एड बनाया और डाल दिया, वो 100 लोगों ने देखा, उसमें से एक बंदा शायद मेरी कैटेगरी के लिए रेलेवेंट है. Right. It could happen like that, right? Or you have the same $100, but instead of doing this, you chose that first I have a sharp definition of my audience. Once I have that sharp definition, I know which of those touch points is my category able to influence his decision the most, getting objective into specific pieces of action. Okay. Right. So, okay, I have a set of, say, 5 different portfolios to handle with that same 100. Which of the portfolio is bringing me profitability? Which of the portfolio is bringing me brand stature or awareness? And accordingly, I will prioritize between those 5 things that I have to do. And then each one of them, like, for example, there is a cost attached to different things, right? So on ground will be more expensive. Mass reach is a little more cost effective from a per person point of view, but it takes much more money to be even seen. Don't enter it if you don't have a certain baseline, investment that you can actually even make. And I think IPL has been a great example.
So how do you manage your time? How do you prioritize your time, effectively? So I think that would be a great tip for us, for me, for a
I
lot of
have,
viewers.
yeah, and trust me when I say this, I have actually run women's, but I think again from a woman's point of view, we somehow tend to believe that men are not capable of doing certain things that only women can do.
Yeah.
And as a parent, I have said it on many forums, and I can say it again. Other than breastfeeding, there is nothing a father can't do.
Yeah.
Um,
That's true.
right.
Right.
So let him be. System is extremely important.
Extremely
Asking for help is important.
Yeah.
Don't try and do everything yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not one. I don't take myself that seriously. That I have to be the one doing everything. If I don't cook, then the cooking doesn't get done, or if I don't teach my son, then the learning doesn't happen, or if all those kind of things. I prioritize, and you have to prioritize on a daily basis. You can't that's one thing. The second thing is that I am fairly guilt free about bringing my life into my work, because I do take my work back into my life also.
Good one. Okay, awesome. Yeah. So with that, now we are moving to a section which is called rapid fire round. And in this section, we are going to talk about you personally. And the rules are either one word or as minimum word as possible, because there could be one or two questions where you might have to, you cannot answer in one word. So shall we start that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So what has been your favorite age so far?
I think 40s.
Yeah. What has changed the most since you have started your own? So
weekends working.
What advice would you give an employee on their first day of job?
Learn.
Yeah. If you could not work in this industry, what profession would you pursue?
Psychologist.
Oh, super. So when are you most productive?
Nothing specific. I can do it whatever, but I need my sleep.
Okay. Okay. So what advice would you give to your younger self?
Be more patient.
Yeah. So with this, we are just out of the rapid fire round, Ruchika. And before we wind up the conversation, I would love you to talk for our aspiring marketing professional.
I would say know your basics. Stick to them. They are known as basics for a reason. Don't get caught up in complicated ways of working. Be a sponge. There is something to be learned from everybody around you. In fact, in my first job, my boss had given me this advice, and I've always given it on to people who have joined work with me. Be a leech. Suck the learning out of people around you.
Awesome.
People are not always natural teachers. So you have to be the one. You are in charge of your own agenda. Don't be shy of pushing your agenda through. And one learning which it took me years to come to grips with is that networking is not bad.
Awesome. Amazing, Ruchika. I mean, it was throughout an amazing conversation. I have enjoyed it thoroughly from the time I have started this.
Same here. Actually, I should compliment you on your interviewing, approach as well, because this is not the most conventionally done strain of thinking. So
That's right.
it's thank you so much.
I'm sure कि आपको ये वीडियो बहुत ही insightful and informative लगा होगा. Let us know in the comment section which part of the video you loved the most. हम ऐसे ही इंडिया के top business brand secrets आपके पास लाते रहते हैं. Please do not forget to subscribe our channel Icons Behind Brands. And that's all for today. I am Devleena Neogi signing off until next time.